Hello and welcome to the Listen to My Radio tutorial series. In this tutorial we are going to be explaining how to broadcast to our premium service running Shoutcast2 under Shoutcast3 using Mixxx. Mixxx is a free broadcasting utility that runs on Windows, Mac OS X and Linux. The first thing we want to do is explain the differences between Shoutcast3 and the old version and Shoutcast2 compared to Shoutcast1. The main differences for the user are that Shoutcast3 and Shoutcast2 have automatic auto DJ on-off. What that basically means is that unlike in the previous version where if you wanted to broadcast live, you had to deactivate auto DJ, connect live, then when you wanted to resume auto DJ you would have to log into Shoutcast and start auto DJ again. In Shoutcast2 you don't need to do any of that. You simply connect to the server and auto DJ will automatically deactivate itself and your live stream will be tuned in. That's the main difference. The second new feature is that Shoutcast3 also has DJ management, which allows you to create multiple DJ accounts and give them out to your DJs with their own unique username and password, which they will use to broadcast live. This compared to the previous version where you would have to give out your admin source password to all your DJs. Another new thing in Shoutcast3 is that unlike in the previous version where you only had one port, Shoutcast3 with Shoutcast2 has multiple ports. The reason for these multiple ports is, for one, a different port is used when you only broadcast live compared to when you broadcast live with auto DJ enabled, and there is another port for Shoutcast V1 backwards compatibility. The compatibility is important because if your software doesn't support Shoutcast2, you still want to be able to broadcast until it's updated. In our example, Mixxx doesn't yet support Shoutcast2, and we will be using this backwards compatibility port to broadcast to the server. In this tutorial we are going to be explaining how to broadcast with auto DJ enabled so that it will automatically switch when you broadcast live. Most users will want to do it this way, but in case you don't want to use auto DJ, you will do everything the same except turning auto DJ on, and you will be using the port here listed under account overview in Shoutcast. In our case that's port 8000 instead of the ports located under quick links, which we'll explain later. So you will use all the instructions are still the same except you will use this port here. If you don't already have auto DJ enabled, please see our knowledge base for the Shoutcast3 general overview tutorial and the auto DJ tutorial. The link is shown in the bottom. Once you have auto DJ enabled and running, you can return to this tutorial and continue with the setup. The first thing we want to do is download the Mixxx program. To do that, go to mixxx.org and click on the downloaded button. In our case we are running for 64-bit version of Windows, so we will download the 64-bit version of Mixxx. If you are running a 32-bit version of Windows, you should use this. There is also downloads for Mac OS X and Linux. Once the download is done, just start the installation like you would with any other software and install the program. Once the installation is complete, start Mixxx. The first thing we want to do is set up live broadcasting. Because Mixxx doesn't come bundled with an MP3 encoder, we have to download one ourselves and install it. So when you click on Options, Enable Live Broadcasting, you will be prompted with an error that explains that you don't have MP3 enabled and that you need to set it up. Click on the See Mixxx Wiki link, which will open our website. and it will give you instructions on how to download the encoder and add it to Mixxx. You basically would go to the link provided here and download the encoder. We have already downloaded the encoder and extracted it and have it open in a folder here. Since we have a 64-bit version of Mixxx installed, we'll use the 64-bit file here. You need to copy the lib mp3 lame file. Copy it, go to local disk C in your computer, and go to the program files. Again, if you have an 86-bit version of Windows installed, you will only see one program files folder here. But in our case, we have two program files folders, and since we installed the 64-bit version of Mixxx, installation will be in this folder. Now we just paste the file into this folder. Now we just have to rename the newly copied file here to lame_enc. Make sure that the .dll is behind the file name, and then just click enter to confirm. Now that we have the encoder pasted in and set up, we can return to Mixxx to see if it is set up properly. Okay. Dismiss the errors, and then go to options again and click on enable live broadcasting. If you don't get an error, it means that you have entered the encoder properly and that this error is related to Mixxx not being able to connect to a server because we haven't set up anything yet. But since we didn't get the MP3 error, it means that we have enable the encoder properly. The next thing we need to do is go to the options menu preferences and enter all of the live broadcasting parameters by clicking on the last item in this list here in live broadcasting. The first thing you need to do is enter the host. To do that, go to your Shoutcast panel and go to quick links, where you will see the live source connections here, and you will have an item called server hostname, and this is the data we need for the host field. Just paste it in. Please note that if you have problems connecting to the server, it's likely related to either an AutoDJ not being on and running, or the server isn't on, or you didn't enter the details here properly. What happens a lot of the time is that users paste a blank space, like this one, behind the host, or the IP, and the port, and that prevents the connection. So please make sure that there are no blank spaces either in front or behind the host, port, password, and so on. We will also get the port from the server details here. As said, because Mixxx doesn't support Shoutcast2, we will need to use the Shoutcast1 port. In our case, that's 8002. We'll copy that in. Under login, you need to enter admin. For password, in Shoutcast1 you would use your source password here, but that's a bit different with Shoutcast2. In Shoutcast2 you need to set up a DJ account and enter the username and password here. If Mixxx were to support both a username and password field, we would enter them separately, but because it runs in backwards compatibility mode and doesn't have a username field, we need to enter both the username and the password in a special format into the password field. Please note that this only applies when you are broadcasting with AutoDJ enabled. If you only broadcast live with AutoDJ disabled, you would just use the source password listed under configure server in Shoutcast here, under configuration settings. This one, you would use this one, and the DJ accounts wouldn't work. So you would have to use the source password if you are only broadcasting live with Auto DJ disabled. So we will now just set up a DJ account. You need to go to configuration, DJs in Shoutcast, and on the right side click on create DJ account. We'll just make it listen to my radio as the username. Password can be test or whatever you want. And the real name you can enter, if you have very similar usernames, it can get confusing, so you can enter something that will be easy to remember here. I'll just enter tutorial account. Under privileges, you can select the permissions that this account has access to. If you don't select any of these, this account will only be able to broadcast live and won't be able to log into Shoutcast and make any changes. In our case, I want to give all permissions to this account. If you just want to give one permission, just click on that one. If you want to give multiple, you can hold out the Control key and select multiple of them. If you want to select all, click on the first item, hold down Shift, and then click on the last item. If you are using a Mac, you would use the Command key instead of Control. And as said, we want to use all of these, so select all of them. Under login restrictions, you can set time-based login restrictions. By default, all accounts are set to be able to broadcast 24/7, and we will leave it at that. But if you want to change the time-based login restrictions, you can select the days and the hours on which this account will be able to connect. After saving the changes, click on Restart on the server to apply the changes. Okay. And now we can return to Mixxx and set up the last parameters. Under password, you need to enter both the username and the password that we just set up under DJ management in a special format. This format is username colon password. So you would enter the username, then a colon, then the password without any spaces. In our case, the username is listen to my radio, colon, test. So it's username, colon, password. Under stream settings, you can set up if your stream will be listed publicly and the name of the stream. We will have public stream enabled in this case, and public stream doesn't mean that your radio won't be able to be heard if you disable this. It means that it will be listed on Shoutcast.com. So even if you disable this, you can put a player on your website and people will be able to hear your stream, but if you disable it, you won't be listed on Shoutcast.com. That's the only difference. My radio tutorial in the stream name, and on the website we will enter listentomyradio.com. Under bitrate, you need to select the maximum bitrate of your package. To find that out, you need to go to Quick Links, and at the same place we got our other details. Under live source connections, you will see the maximum bitrate, and just select that in Mixxx. In our case, it's 32 kilobits per second. Format is MP3. And once you have set up all of these, you can click on Enable Live Broadcasting and click OK. If you did everything correctly, you will get a message like this that says Mixxx has successfully connected to the Shoutcast server. If you ever want to disable live broadcasting, go to Options and click here to disable it. Then you will get a message Mixxx has successfully disconnected from the server. And the next thing we want to do is show you how you can use a microphone as a voiceover option. To do that, go to View and click on the Show Microphone section, and a new button will appear here. By default, Mixxx will use the default microphones and speakers on your computer, but you can change these by going to Preferences, Sound Hardware, and selecting the outputs and inputs here. In our case, it's just the defaults, so we will leave it at that. Talk on the show, just click on the talk button here, but we will first connect to the server. Click on the talk button here. You can set the volume of your microphone here if you want. And when you are done talking, you can just click on it to disable it. Another thing you might want to change or set is go to Preferences and set the location of your music files. To do that, click on Library, and the music directory here will be presented. You can click on Browse to select the folder that holds all your music, and all that music will be listed here in the library option. The next thing we want to do is show you how you can play songs. In our case, we want to play songs in a playlist format. For that, Mixxx has the Auto DJ option. This Auto DJ isn't related to the Auto DJ list shown in Shoutcast2. So you add songs to the Auto DJ option by dragging and dropping them. You take a song and just drag and drop it into Auto DJ here, and that song will be listed in the Auto DJ playlist. You can shuffle the songs by clicking on the shuffle button here, and you can rearrange these songs by again dragging and dropping them where you want them to be. Once you have the songs loaded into the playlist here, you can click on Enable Auto DJ, and it will start playing songs in the order shown in the playlist here. If you ever want to change the order, you just drag and drop them in the order you want here. Then the songs will automatically play as listed here. If you want to change any of the volume settings or anything else, you might want to do this when you are talking on the microphone because the music can be too loud. You can do that here. So you can, for example, set the volume to half, and then the microphone will be more clear, and you will have a voiceover function where the music is in the background, or you can mute the music altogether if you just want the mic. When you are ready to start playing music, just click on the play button here. Once the song that's playing in this deck here is done, it will start playing the deck here, and then it will load the next file from the playlist. Once you have started playing music in Mixxx, the only thing you need to do is make sure that everything is working correctly. To do that, you can return to Shoutcast and listen to the stream by clicking on the play button here. That's the easiest way, or you can download a file from the TuneIn links here and listen in a desktop player like Winamp or iTunes. That's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. For more tutorials, please see our knowledge base.